Hi, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and spend a few minutes talking about base units, what some of those things mean, and then I'm going to get back into significant figures. So last video we went ahead. Last video we went ahead and we talked about base units. So we talked about our base units being liters, meters, and grams, right? So a couple of things that you guys should know is a couple of different liters, meters, grams. Okay, so first off is that this is volume, right? And volume in this case is going to be like the amount of space that it goes ahead and that it occupies. So this is 3D space occupied, right? Meters is going to be the length of something, so how long, right? Grams is going to be mass, which is going to be amount of matter, right? So this is going to be your amount of matter. So those are your things on there. Okay, so just make sure that you guys know those definitions. There are a few of those like on there. So make sure that you are clear on that and you know that so that we can go ahead and we can get that thing going. Okay, next thing is we're going to talk about significant figures and just a few rules and a few ground rules. There's not too many sig figs on the test, so I kind of want to make sure that I cover a couple of ground rules with you guys and kind of give you a preview. And then significant figures is something that we're going to be working on throughout the year. So just make sure that as we kind of go through it and as we're talking about them, that you always are able to ask questions on this. Okay, so significant figures. There's 3 basic rules that I want you guys to worry about right now. Okay, so the first thing is non-zeros. Right, so non-zero numbers is any number not a zero. Okay, so any number that is not a zero is a non-zero number. All of those things are significant, right? So the thing is like when we're talking about other numbers, we have to make sure how all of those other numbers become like significant and what is going to be significant later, right? So the next thing is that numbers after a decimal point are significant, right? So all numbers after a decimal point. There's one exception to this rule, but I'm not going to get far into it right now. We're going to just go that all numbers after your decimal point is significant. And then any zero that is sandwiched is also significant. And what I mean by that is that it's between 2 non-zeros. Non-zeros. Right, so anything that is between 2 non-zeros, that is going to be something that becomes significant. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at a couple of examples, and then I'm going to show you guys the one exception to this rule right here. And then we will go ahead and we'll let you guys go so that we are all good to go and all studied up. Okay. So a couple of things is when you guys are looking at this, right, we have a couple of different ones right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with this one. So if we look at this number right here, we see that we have our things that are after a decimal point, right? So all numbers after a decimal point are significant. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to count how many sig figs I have. So if I go ahead and if I count on there, I have 1, 2, and 3 sig figs because those are significant. The 0 right here, this is not significant, right? So this one right here is not a sig fig. So this one has 3 total, right? When you guys are looking at this one right here, this one, we only have one number that is not a 0, right? And since there's no decimal point at the end of this whole number, right, this one only has 1 significant figure, right? It's kind of weird, but we'll talk about kind of a way to kind of work around this. But in this case, right, this one only has one significant figure. This one right here, right, we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be looking at this 0 right here, and you'll see that this 0 is actually sandwiched, right, between two non-zero numbers, right? So then since it is sandwiched, that 0 becomes significant, right? So we have 4 significant figures. The one exception to this rule is the following, right? So if you have 0.00, what is it? 510, right? If you have a number that looks something like this, right? There are a couple of things that we will kind of go over a little bit later, but I don't want you guys to stress out about it too much right now. So we already know that this 0 at the front, that one's not significant, right? But when we go ahead and when we are looking at this, you guys will also see that in later rules, right, that these two are also not significant, right? Even though they are after the decimal point, those two are considered placeholder zeros, so those ones are considered not significant, right? So in this case, we only have 3 sig figs, right? This one right here, it is significant because it is after that non-zero number. Okay, so keep on working on sig figs. There's not really too many questions about sig figs. I just wanted to make sure that you guys took some time to go ahead and to review. Okay, guys, so good luck on your test or quiz, right? Quiz is on Monday, open notes, so make sure you guys are looking through your notes. Make sure your notes are complete, and we will see you guys on Monday.